Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And we'd like to thank the Toronto Police for making us feel very safe and making sure that the street is closed off and that there are more police here than there are people. My name is Samira Moyedin, and for nearly a decade, I was a host and producer at the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CBC Radio. I resigned from my position in November 2023 and founded On the Line Media. I'm joined here today by members of the Canadian Journalists for Justice in Palestine. Some of us are facing you, and other members are among you. We have come together today to do a number of things, but mainly to talk about our craft and our credibility, which are both in decline, and we have only ourselves to blame for it. Before I introduce our first speaker today, I would like to congratulate fellow journalist Antoinette Latouf, who used to work for the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. This is Australia's national public broadcaster. Ms. Latouf was stripped of her position as an on-air host because she shared a Human Rights Watch report which showed that Israel is systemically starving people in Gaza. Ms. Latouf took ABC to court, and a year and a half after, won her case against ABC for wrongful dismissal. The court found, and I quote, that punishing someone for sharing facts about war crimes is illegal. The main reason I bring up her case is that there are dozens of journalists across Canada who have also lost their jobs because they spoke the truth on what Israel is doing to Palestinians in Gaza. This is just another layer of the story that we want to bring attention to today. I'd now like to invite Inori Roy to the microphone. She is a founding member of the Canadian Journalists for Justice in Palestine and a Toronto-based feature writer and editor at The Local. Inori was also a signatory to the letter put out last year and signed by over 300 Canadian journalists condemning the killing of media workers in Gaza. Inori, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Samira, and thank you everyone for being here. I'm now going to deliver a statement in solidarity with Palestinian journalists, written by Canadian Journalists for Justice in Palestine. We often say journalism is not a crime, but in Palestine it is. Since October 8th, 2023, 185 journalists and media workers have been killed in Gaza, according to the Committee to Protect Journalists, making it the deadliest period for journalists on record. The Palestinian Journalist Syndicate puts the number even higher at 226. More journalists have been killed in Gaza than in both world wars, Vietnam, Yugoslavia, and Afghanistan combined. Additionally, the CPJ has published cases of 84 arrests of journalists in the Palestinian territories and Jerusalem, with 35 still under arrest. Journalists serve as indispensable witnesses, documenting realities that powerful actors frequently seek to obscure. International law clearly establishes that journalists and media workers are civilians who must be protected during armed conflicts. Yet the targeting of the Palestinian workers and Palestinian journalists and their families in Gaza persists, largely unchallenged and inadequately covered by Western mainstream media, which often views Palestinian journalists as biased or partial. Israel has also barred international media from entering Gaza, forcing Palestinian journalists to work with a target on their back while reporting on the genocide of their people. The impunity of the Israeli state and its willingness to use state violence to silence Palestinian voices continues. The government's refusal to guarantee journalist safety, coupled with repeated communications blackouts, are not mere obstacles. They constitute deliberate and strategic acts of censorship. Even before October 7th, 2023, Israel deliberately targeted and attacked journalists for covering and reporting the truth with little to no accountability. After covering the Israeli occupation for nearly 25 years, Palestinian-American reporter Shireen Abu Akleh was shot in the head and killed on May 11, 2022, while reporting on an Israeli raid in the West Bank city of Jenin. For years, Abu Akleh's family has been denied accountability and justice from both Israel and the United States. Just last month, an investigative documentary by Zateo revealed not only the name of the Israeli soldier who killed her, but also how American and Israeli governments worked to stall the case. It is clear that Israel will continue its pattern of attacking and murdering journalists, which only serves to silence the truth of the country's genocidal actions against the rest of the civilian population in all of Palestine. There is a need and a responsibility for the journalists in Canada and around the world to stand up against the targeted killing of our colleagues. So far, the relative silence from Canadian media outlets, journalism associations, and unions has been deafening. Today, we are launching Canadian Journalists for Justice in Palestine, an organization through which we hope to unite the journalists concerned about the slanted coverage of Israel's war on Gaza, and those who want to stand in solidarity with our Palestinian peers experiencing violence, siege, and censorship. For the last 20 months, we have seen a consistent failure among Canadian media institutions to uphold strong reporting standards when it comes to Israel-Palestine. We have seen journalists ostracized, silenced, and penalized for raising concerns within their newsrooms. Many have experienced grave moral injuries, seeing the employers and newsrooms they once trusted now compromised with the standards that would otherwise be considered sacrosanct. Our call to action today is urgent and clear. We demand that newsrooms and our fellow journalists, particularly those with powerful platforms and privileged positions, fulfill their fundamental responsibility to hold Israel to account fearlessly and relentlessly. Journalists must report fully and accurately on the targeted assassinations of their colleagues, demand accountability from governments and institutions responsible for violating international law, and refuse complicity through silence, bias, or misleading service-level reporting. Each time a journalist is killed, the world loses a vital voice, and another barrier is erected between the public and the truth. Today, we remind ourselves and our peers across the country of our ethical and professional duties, to report courageously, to challenge power unequivocally, and to fiercely protect the integrity of our profession and the safety of our colleagues. The world is watching, and history will remember how we respond. Thank you.
Our next speaker is also a founding member of CJJP. Mary Newman is a Toronto-based freelance journalist and producer. Mary will be reading a statement we received from Nasser Abu Bakr. He is the head of the Palestinian Journalists Syndicate and also vice president of the International Federation of Journalists, of which many of us are members. Mary.
Thank you, Samira. Dear friends, first of all, I thank you for your solidarity with Palestinian journalists throughout Palestine, especially in Gaza, where the occupation has killed 226 journalists and injured approximately 400 since the beginning of the October War. A number of them suffered limb amputations or lost an eye as a result of the bombing. Approximately 180 journalists were subjected to the most horrific forms of torture and starvation. The occupation has also destroyed all media institutions, with the Palestinian Journalists Syndicate documenting the destruction of more than 120 press organizations. The occupation destroyed more than 1,700 journalists' homes and killed more than 600 of their family members, including sons, daughters, sisters, brothers, mothers, and fathers. The occupation committed the largest and most horrific massacre of journalists in the history of the world. This systematic killing and targeting of Palestinian journalists is an official decision by the Israeli occupation government, which considers itself above international law. Therefore, the Palestinian Journalist Syndicate, the representative of all Palestinian journalists in Palestine and the diaspora, calls for more solidarity campaigns with us and demands the government of Canada and all governments take political and legal measures against the genocidal occupying state. It also demands that all foreign journalists be allowed into the Gaza Strip to report the truth, as Israel does not want or allow foreign journalists to enter, so that the world does not see the reality of the unprecedented genocide that the Palestinian people are being subjected to. My dear colleagues and friends, we are proud of your role, your activism, and your solidarity with the victims of the genocide of our Palestinian people in Gaza. We affirm that these solidarity activities make us stronger and give us the determination and will to continue professional media coverage despite the heavy price paid daily in the lives and blood of our journalists in Gaza. Thank you, each and every one of you. Your brother, Nasser Abu Bakr, head of the Palestinian Journalist Syndicate.
Thank you so much, Mary. If you're reading this, it means I have been killed, most likely targeted by the Israeli army. When this all began, I was only 21 years old, a college student with dreams like anyone else. For the past 18 months, I have dedicated every moment of my life to people. I documented the horrors in northern Gaza, minute by minute, determined to show the world the truth they tried to bury. I slept on pavements, in schools, in tents, anywhere I could. Each day was a battle for survival. I endured hunger for months, yet I never left my people's side. By God, I fulfilled my duty as a journalist. I risked everything to report the truth, and now I am finally at rest. Something I haven't known in the past 18 months. I did all this because I believe in the Palestinian cause. I believe this land is ours, and it has been the highest honor of my life to die defending it and serving its people. I ask you now, do not stop speaking about Gaza. Do not let the world look away. Keep fighting, keep telling our stories until Palestine is free. For the last time, Hossam Shabbat from northern Gaza. I want you to take a look at the photo of this young man, 23 years old. That's him there with that beautiful smile. Israel targeted and killed Hossam Shabbat on March 24th, 2025. Burned alive, beheaded, media tents bombed, their families killed alongside them. There is nothing Israel has not done to try and silence the journalists on the ground in Gaza. If we care about this craft, if we care about our credibility as journalists, we must call out this systemic slaughter of our colleagues. Yes, our colleagues in Gaza. They are our colleagues. Canadian media overall has at best acted as stenographer and as scribe, and at worst run cover for the crimes Israel is committing on a daily basis. Israel hasn't just killed Palestinian journalists. Israel has killed journalism itself. The ever-declining trust in the media has been blown wide open in Gaza and died a timely death. Columnists in this country write articles that essentially put targets on the backs of Palestinian journalists, labeling them as Hamas combatants, regurgitating the bilge of the Israeli army spokespersons. We have become the spokesperson of the spokesperson. Hosts on our national broadcaster and Toronto morning radio show say such things as, quote, "It's hard to tell about the starvation in Gaza because there are so few independent journalists on the ground," end quote. We would never commit this form of erasure with any other journalist in any other part of the world. There is something very rotten in the newsrooms of Canada, and it needs to be snuffed out. What 23-year-old Hossam Shabat did covering the carnage in northern Gaza should be commended, not questioned. And it shouldn't be radical for me to get up here and say that in front of all of you. But it is, and that is precisely the problem. The truth is being sacrificed at the altar of balance and objectivity, which is being weaponized against journalists who are speaking the truth and just trying to do their jobs. That is not journalism. Israel says is not journalism. We will now take any questions any of you have.
What is on the agenda? That the organization is doing, what is on the agenda? How are you going to tackle all that you mentioned?
Our agenda, first and foremost, is to amplify the voices of Palestinian journalists on the ground and to see how we can help them. Our second agenda is to make sure that the journalists who do cover this issue in Canada do it properly and apply the same standards that they would to any other conflict, any other war, any other genocide in the same fashion. We know they can do their jobs because we've seen them do it with other conflicts.
How are you practically going to advocate for that? How are you going to practically make that happen?
How am I practically going to make that happen? I mean, this is the first.
Are there certain measures that you're going to take now? Are you going to talk to these organizations? Are you going to be able to, have access?
For the past 18 months, we have been imploring and reaching out to news agencies to do their jobs. News agencies in Canada have shown that they are okay with dead Palestinian colleagues. At times, they don't even refer to them as colleagues. So we're not going to spend too much energy on trying to convince people who have shown where they stand over the past 18 months. Our first priority is to amplify the voices of what is happening on the ground in Gaza. And we do that by any means necessary, whether it's taking to social media, whether it's doing interviews with them on our platforms. That is first and foremost what we're going to focus on. And the second thing I think, which is very important, is that the Canadian government has done an abysmal job of focusing on what is happening to the killing of press in Gaza and the occupied West Bank. If we are a country of freedom of the press and we, clutch our pearls when journalists are killed in other countries, we need to uphold the same standards when it comes to Palestinians in the occupied West Bank.
And my question, do you think the Canadian government has good voice?
I think I answered that question right now. Anyone else?
Would you be reaching out to any levels of government?
I just told you we'd be reaching out to levels of government. Oh, hi.
What do you say to the journalists who are not here?
The truth truth is that there are two reasons that journalists might not be here. The first is I have peers in the industry who have pushed and pushed in mainstream newsrooms for this issue to be covered and have been silenced at every step, have been pushed back on, have been told that they're biased because of where they come from in the world. To those people, especially Palestinian Canadian journalists who are barred from being here because they'd be considered biased and they wouldn't be allowed to do their jobs by their editors and managers, I say we're with you. We will speak for you when you can't speak for yourself, and we will work alongside you to make this industry as hospitable to Palestinian Canadian journalists as possible. To the journalists who aren't here because they don't think it's worth paying attention to, they think local issues are more important and Palestinian issues don't matter, I would remind them that an offense to journalism in one part of the world is an offense to journalism everywhere. And if they don't allow Palestinian journalists to do their jobs, they will not allow us to do our jobs eventually. Any others? Yes, so we are the Canadian Journalists for Justice in Palestine. We currently have an Instagram that's just gone live. For journalists in the industry, we will have a sign-up sheet. You can join us. You can be part of our communications in our newsletter, and you can join us in an organizing capacity if you're interested. We welcome journalists from across Canada. We currently have peers and allies in Montreal, in Vancouver, and in the Northwest Territories, and we hope to be a countrywide organization soon, and to be able to have local chapters. So please feel free to join us. Our sign-up information will be available here in person or through our Instagram. Thank you.